Hey everybody, Fred Minnick here, and last week when I did my Bottled and Bond history review, I talked a lot about E.H. Taylor, this guy right here, and I had this whole vision, this whole plan to do a tasting of some E.H. Taylor while I did that history, and I did not feel up to tasting. I've been getting my butt kicked in jiu-jitsu the past couple weeks, and I just did not want. I wasn't in the mood, frankly. I wasn't in the mood. Didn't have the palate, and sometimes when you taste for a living, you gotta know when you shouldn't taste. And that day when I recorded that video was one of those days, and so today I wanted to jump into this. I wanted to go ahead and give some tasting notes on the standard E.H. Taylor small batch Bottled and Bond. This is between 7 and 8 years old. It's Buffalo Trace's Mash Bill 1. It has an SRP of like around $40-$50, but let's face it, you are not finding this in the store typically for $40 to $50. So anytime I do one of those lists that states like Bourbon's under 40, under 50. Everyone's I never mention E.H. Taylor. People are like, why didn't you mention E.H. Taylor? Because it's not realistic to put that on there when most retailers are actually charging $80 to $120 for this bottle. Now, here's a funny thing about this. I actually thought that I had reviewed this recently. So I was wanting to go through I went through my old notes from when I was with Whiskey Advocate. For those who don't know, I was the lead American whiskey reviewer for Whiskey Advocate for a long time. I also had an app for a little bit where I, had all my tasting notes in there called BRB Library, and I have my books where I had my tasting notes in there. And I have never actually given a formal review for the C.H. Taylor, so bit of a shocker on that one. I was kind of surprised. I have never given a formal review on this. So here we go. Just going to jump right in there and review some E.H. Taylor Bottled and Bond. It smells like buttered popcorn. Little Cracker Jacks, just fresh opening of Cracker Jacks. Some wheat bread, some toasted wheat bread. And it smells like a legit barrel, like the inside of a barrel. This smells like a warehouse. Honestly, this smells like a Buffalo Trace warehouse, which real fancy tasting note there, Fred. Sorry, that's all I got. That's the nose. Very, very spicy. A lot of cinnamon action here. You get some nutmeg, just a little bit of like a creme brulee. Touch of caramel, which, it's the caramel's not up front. It's more of an accent. It comes in toward the end. I get a little bit of black licorice on this one. This next taste, there was like this bitterness kind of like in the distance as I was tasting the first time. I was like, oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? And then the second taste, pretty pronounced black licorice note there. And that's quite a bit more traditional with rye. I don't really get that a lot with bourbon. And then there's one more little note here. I mentioned the creme brulee. I'd like to change that to be more like a really burnt, overcooked creme brulee where they torched it a little too much on the top. And then bread pudding. Yeah, so a pretty complete bourbon. Quite tasty. The only thing I would say here is the finish is not as special to me as I'd like it to be. So it's a medium finish and doesn't really wow me on the finish. But nose is fantastic. The taste is fantastic. The finish is the only mark where I'm like, it could be better. But yeah, that's interesting, because usually when you have those flavors that range of flavors for me, I almost always get like a more pleasant finish, a longer finish, one that's sticking around on the palate. But yeah, this one, the finish just isn't there. But still, this is a bourbon. If you can find this bourbon at I'd say below $60, grab it. Yeah, this is definitely a tasty bourbon. I'm just curious. I want to see what this is going for. Okay, so one place has it going for $128, another one for $139. Someone has it for $419. That's a load of bullshit. I see it for $116 and $139. But let me just double check here the SRP. I swear to God it was like $40-$50, and I did check that before. Yeah, it's $40-$50. So how do you like them apples? How do you like them apples? But I don't think a markup to $60 is really that bad. But if you see it above $60, you probably shouldn't buy it. But it's definitely better than most $60 bourbons that are on the shelf today. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this little tasting video. I have a lot of cool stuff coming up. A lot of cool stuff. And some of which has to do with this channel. Like I've teased before, my Barrel Club is going to be moving a little bit down the road a little bit. We're changing things up. I'm going to be moving on to Patreon from the YouTube community. There's still going to be a YouTube community presence, but the conditions and rules of YouTube don't allow me to communicate like I want to with my members, so I'm going to just go to Patreon and continue YouTubing. But yeah, for reals, a lot of cool stuff happening. 2023 could not be going any better. I'm very happy right now. I'm very, very happy. I've been getting myself in a good place, both physically and mentally, and I remain in constant lag time for my tastings. And I still cannot believe I have not tasted this one for a review. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I have not tasted this. Shocked the bejesus out of me. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, folks. Be safe out there. Remember, no licking handrails, no licking trash cans, and vodka sucks unless it's being used for hand sanitizer. Cheers, y'all.